Gianna Costa, you earned your second straight Emmy nomination this year, Outstanding Production Design for Variety, Reality, or Competition Series. Last year you were nominated as an art director, and this year as a production designer on the show. Was that a big change in the scope of your role on the show? What was that like this year?
Oh yeah, I was definitely switching gears, and I had to try to step back from the art director role, which was very hands-on in a way with, the day-to-day. And, it was a little tough transitioning because I still was stepping my toe into being an art director, but definitely was really happy to transition into this role. Like, really happy about it.
And on a show with this much, flamboyant performance and creativity, is there a particular feeling of artistic freedom as a designer?
Oh yeah, there definitely is. A little bit of freedom to kind of think outside the box and try to make things as fun and fresh as possible. And we tape a new episode every other day, so I was trying to be adjust and think on your toes. Is that the way to put it? And just really try to execute things in a fun, fresh, possible way. It's lots of fun.
And what new elements did you hope to bring to season 14?
I was just trying to do a little bit of a different take, kind of adding, the colors. I'm really inspired by how we have so much pops of color on the show. So I was really just taking kind of what we already have been doing, but now making it more mine and, adding my own flair and personality to it.
And what kind of color, schemes did you work with, the color palette in terms of bringing your own personality?
See, it's tough because on Drag Race we use a lot of different colors. So, it's like, I don't know if this is a particular palette, but it is getting to play with the colors because
the whole palette, basically.
Yeah, there seems to be no color off limits, except for sometimes green. But for the most part, we get to use all the different colors.
And you're nominated for the episode Catwalk, where the top 5 performed in their own music video. What stood out to you in that episode in terms of your design?
The episode itself was a homage to George Michael's Too Funky video, which to me was, I'm a person from the 90s, and to me it's like a very iconic video. So it was really a joy to try to bring this to life in our own Drag Race version of it. So to me, it was just great to take that and make it our own. And that whole set just kind of was the vision of, Rue's vision to take the original Too Funky and again, make it, Drag Race.
Was this your first time designing for a music video?
No, I've done some in the past, just at smaller level music videos. So this is more on a bigger scale.
Yeah, and how does that kind of work compare to any other episode of the show?
Well, the final episode is, it's a penultimate episode, and the queens all season have been working very hard on different challenges. So the final queens that are in this episode, it's an emotional experience for them and for us, because these sets, in this set in particular, it transports them and it immerses them into, you're in this actual music video. So to them, they've worked so hard to get to this point that it's an accomplishment. So it's just trying to give them the best experience possible, because really these different episodes are giving them the best experience possible with these different themes, these different episodes.
And building that catwalk itself, did that inspiration come directly from the George Michael video? Was there any other inspirations to that visually?
There was a little bit of, working with producers and Rue is like you take a little bit of everything and, make it like an homage, but also take a little bit of our own little backstage area, how we would have it, kind of like how we would have our version of the runway. So, so it's not a direct, but it is like influenced.
And, there's clearly a lot of creativity work went into another episode this season, the Rusical as always, and this was Moulin Rouge, which had its own iconic, the film had its own iconic production design. What was it like working on that one?
I loved that episode because we got to take, actual Moulin Rouge and make it our own version of it. And what it was cool to be able to do was take our set as the runway and transform it again into something that it's not, so you can't really tell you're in the runway itself. And it was very simple, the design, but but with the queens and the performances, it really all together was just great as a whole.
And do you take creative inspiration when creating the sets from the queens themselves, either past or present, kind of the aesthetic of anyone?
Yeah, definitely. I've been on the show for 10 seasons. So after a while, like stuff that I was never into, all of a sudden I'm into, and I don't know where it comes from. And I think it's just from years of absorbing everything around me. And so when I do things, I truly think about them being in the situations, like with the queens, or like what adding them in, how would it look? Seeing all these queens have very different personalities, very different styles. And so the sets try to like figure out like how would the queens look in these sets.
And you're also creating this you're creating this opulence, but you're also giving the queens the chance to kind of be the stars of the show. What's it like, maintaining that balance?
Exactly. I mean, every season we try to like elevate and get better with each look. Like we're trying to outdo, like, hey, look, how can we make this better than last season? And in doing that, you're also like, how can we make this better for the queens? How can we highlight these queens' talents? And because it is a competition, so it is testing all their abilities and skills. So within that, it's like, how does the set elevate the queens, but also it is the set, so we can't take too much away from them, but we also have to have some elements of design in a set.
And one of the most important locations for the queens every season is the workroom, of course. Like, what work went into that this season, and were there significant changes and differences?
I think with the workroom, it's trying to maintain that, when we had COVID, the first filming of COVID, we had to expand the workroom. So, there are restrictions with the workroom with COVID regulations, because we have to make it bigger space-wise. So there wasn't too many differences with the workroom. The only main difference is that it's carried on from the past few seasons was COVID and having to make the workroom bigger. But, not too many major differences from, the past few seasons, just except for the bigger workroom.
And what do you hope to give the audience in terms of the feeling that they get when they watch the show and they experience all the visual elements of it?
With the audience, I just really they're there for the queens, but they also are watching the sets as well. So again, it's just making it a fun experience, because a lot of people watch together. So it's to make to make people feel good, and feel good about the queens, also telling a story behind, besides the sets, you're getting into their lives. So it's a mixture of things. It's very different from a scripted show, obviously. So it's hard to put in words some things that a scripted show could say, because it is a main element are the queens. So.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your work on the show, on your Emmy nomination for the show. And thank you so much for talking with me about it.
Thank you.